Israel has committed to daily 10-hour pauses in military operations in parts of Gaza from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time. The pause, which was almost immediately broken, applies to 3 areas in this zone here: Gaza City in the north, Deir al-Balah in the center, and al-Mawasi on the coast. Israel has deemed the rest of the strip, that's the red part of this map, a dangerous combat zone. Gaza City was hit by Israeli strikes on Sunday, despite the pause already coming into effect. Last Sunday, Israel launched a week-long ground offensive into Deir al-Balah, where tanks were deployed into civilian areas. Although the Israeli military has declared al-Mawasi a safe evacuation zone, it regularly attacks it, killing Palestinian families sheltering in makeshift tents. Tom Fletcher is the UN's Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief. Sir, you're joining us from London. Thank you for your time. So Israel announced yesterday humanitarian pauses in 3 parts of the Gaza Strip and designated routes for the UN to deliver more food and medicine to those areas. Do you believe Israel is trying to genuinely alleviate Palestinian suffering inside the Gaza Strip?
Well, let's see. I mean, this is a welcome step in the right direction. Clearly, we need to get in vast amounts of aid at a much, much greater scale than we've been able to do so far. We've faced enormous obstacles: security, bureaucratic, permits, visas, etc. Now, this is a chance. I hope there's a window here. We're mobilized to deliver as much as we can. We'll save as many lives as we can.
So you've just highlighted something which the UN and aid groups have been saying for a long time now, which is that Israel imposes all manners of blocks on aid coming into the Gaza Strip: bureaucratic, licenses, permits for the truck drivers, not to mention, of course, the safety of the teams going in. Are those blocks being lifted?
Well, let's see. I mean, it looks like more crossings are being opened up. Yesterday was a better day, but it's still a drop in the ocean, what we were able to get in yesterday compared to what's needed. So we'll engage with this in good faith. We will move as much as we're able to move, but we'll judge it by results, not by words. And we have a plan. We know how to do this. We were getting in 600, 700 trucks during that 42-day ceasefire in the first quarter of the year. And that's the sort of scale that we need to get in to stop the starvation and to stop the medical crisis.
Okay, well, the UN has been saying we have a plan and we have thousands of trucks waiting outside Gaza ready to go in. Israel now saying the routes are there for the trucks to go in. So can you tell us how it's working right now and how many trucks we can hope will go in?
Well, we hope to get hundreds of trucks in every day. Yesterday, we got in round about 100. Many of those were looted as they crossed over. We got essential vaccines through, which are absolutely vital to Palestinian civilians right now. Look, we'll take it day by day, and we'll report back to you what we experience. The world is demanding that we get that access. We're ready to go. We've got the resources ready to go. The world has provided those resources. Let's see how we get on. This is a start, but we'll judge it by results.
Can we get specific about this for a moment? Are you now able to send in as many trucks as you want, like today?
Not yet, no, because we're still going through bureaucratic procedures. We're still having to deal with the customs procedures at the border. Not all the borders are open at the same time. So it's still very, very complicated for us. We can't just simply turn up and drive through. That's what we would love to do. That's what we should be allowed to do. That's what international law demands that we're able to do, but we're not yet at that point.
So I'm drilling down on this point. What is standing in between the UN and the objective that you just laid out? Just the doors being open and sending all the trucks in. What is in between you, the UN, and that happening?
So we need all the crossings open. We need the pause in fighting to be genuine so we can move those trucks in a secure way. And we need the bureaucratic obstacles to be lifted. So we still have to face a lot of registration issues, lots of bureaucratic issues for our drivers coming to collect the goods from the crossings. They're offloaded at the crossings and then picked up again by our drivers inside Gaza. And we face visa restrictions, for example. And, the Israeli authorities have announced just recently that they're denying the visa for the person who's overseeing the coordination of the delivery of that aid. So the conditions are really tough, but we're willing to engage in good faith. We just want to solve problems and get this aid on the road and get it to where it's needed, because there's massive starvation in Gaza. We can all see the humanitarian catastrophe that is taking place there.
So last month you denounced, quote, horrifying scenes, your words, of Palestinians being killed while trying to access food, and you said they were the result of deliberate choices, also your words. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Well, look, I mean, since the horrors of October the 7th, and I've frequently condemned those Hamas attacks then, since then we've seen almost 60,000 people killed inside Gaza, nearly 18,000 children. So, one of the great challenges here is that the journalists, the media, international media, can't get in to cover that. So it's our job, it's part of our mandate to be reporting out, as I do to the Security Council, as I do when I come and talk to you and other media outlets, on what we're seeing there on the ground. It's horrific. And 88% of Gaza right now is under displacement orders, which means that the entire population is being herded into just 12% of the land. The rules of war are being corroded day after day. We're hearing Israeli ministers talking openly about flattening Gaza, forcing people out permanently, annihilation, bombing food aid. This is terrible language, but we're focused on getting that aid in.
Now, Israeli officials, multiple Israeli officials, have argued that large-scale aid deliveries risk being looted or taxed by Hamas. But as we know, a recent USAID report found that there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of widespread diversion, which is in line with what the UN has always said. They also don't see widespread diversion of the aid by Hamas. So how do you respond to Israel's numerous allegations that allowing in more aid would only strengthen Hamas?
So in a way, we've got to separate out those two things. There is looting, and yesterday we faced enormous amounts of looting, particularly of our flour trucks. But this is from desperate civilians who are starving, who are trying to feed their families. Separate to that is the question of how do we stop the aid going to Hamas? How do we make sure it gets to the civilians for whom it is offered? That's the priority for all of us. And, as that report said, there's not much evidence of aid diversion. Now, can I guarantee that every grain of rice avoids Hamas when they're on the ground, they're armed, they're able to hold up aid deliveries and buy food at the market, for example? I can't guarantee that. Nobody can guarantee that. But we have the networks, we have the plans that mean that we can get that aid to communities directly and distribute it through our community kitchens and prevent the vast majority of it getting to Hamas.
Tom Fletcher, UN Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief. Thank you for joining us on the Al Jazeera NewsHour.
You soon.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.